I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the Monday, October 20th, 2025 meeting of the El Monte City School District Board of Education. Thank you all for being here. I'll begin with roll call. Mrs. Cobian?
Present.
Mr. Peralta?
Present.
Mrs. Mendez Garcia?
Present.
Mr. Segrist?
Present.
And Rivas present as well. For our roll call today, we have a student who will be leading us. I'd like to invite Cecilia Deep forward from New Lexington School. As she comes forward, I will share a little bit about her. Cecilia Deep is a fourth grader in the Mandarin Dual Language Immersion Program at New Lexington. Cecilia is on the Student Lighthouse team and has done a great job with morning announcements and our flag salute along with her peers. Cecilia speaks Cantonese, Mandarin, and English, which is a wonderful asset to have as an empowered communicator. Thank you, Cecilia.
Please stand and join me. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republics for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. That was wonderful. For our strategic plan, we have the district administration reports. Dr. Garcia.
Thank you, Mrs. Rivas. Good evening, governing board members and El Monte City School District. This evening, we have a robust update on all things EMCSD under the framework of our strategic plan. As you can see there, the first picture is a reflection of the great shakeout that took place last Thursday. Happy to say that all of our schools participated in the Great Shakeout, and as everything, we just continue to build and add to our safety plans across the district. We're going to begin with priority area number 1, ensuring academic excellence for all, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Pinedo, who will talk a little bit about the PD that we recently had.
Good evening, President Rivas, Governing Board, community members. For priority 1, this past week on Friday for our Student Free Day, we actually had another professional development day. Our TK through second grade teachers, counselors, instructional assistants, and social workers attended a second part of a training for conscious discipline, which provides teachers with some strategies to work with students and help with co-regulation strategies, coming from a place of relationships first, a place of providing safety in the classroom, and helping to understand the brain state model, both where the adult brain is and where the student brain is during certain behaviors, as a way to help with de-escalating certain situations, and again, just providing a safe environment for students. And so they learned a lot of fun activities to do with students to make the classroom an engaging and safe place. Our third through sixth grade teachers were provided with the training by our teachers on special assignment, leveraging language to achieve grade level literacy and writing. One thing that we know about language is that oracy precedes literacy, and so we want our students to be talking and engaging in academic language and discourse, and that is important before students begin reading and writing. And so our TOSAs walked our teachers through some strategies, using GLAD strategies, to integrate into their academic day to have students engage in academic discourse before they do any writing. And so it was a great day of learning and using some wonderful GLAD strategies. And then our 7th and 8th grade content teachers actually had part of that training already at our last Student Free Day, so they received a part 2, which is really great. And it's really encouraging integrated ELD in our content areas, science and social studies and language arts. And then our 7th and 8th grade math teachers were in professional development for understanding academic language and mathematical discourse. So again, focusing on language acquisition and the importance of that discourse, having students talk more so that they are engaged in their learning as well.
Can I add to that, Dr. Pinedo? And I just want to say that we had a preview to this PD, and it was 100% done within the school district. So our TOSAs led the PD. It was fantastic, but so exciting to see just, the level of commitment and the knowledge that's here within the district across EMCSD. So just thank you to the TOSAs for leading this very, very valuable PD.
And today actually ends our first quarter. It's hard to believe it went by very quickly. We've been so busy with so many wonderful things happening throughout the district. And so our parent conferences are taking place beginning in November. And it's just a good time for our teachers to meet with our parents and to discuss academic progress. And to, go over areas for growth and just look over, our students' progress reports, share any observations that teachers have, and then collaborate with our families to support student success so that they, have a good rest of the first trimester.
And this past month marked our Attendance Awareness Initiative Month, right? Usually it's the start of the school year, right, to build good habits and carry them on throughout the school year. Presented before you is some information for the past school year across the state of California, right? We know academic excellence for all doesn't happen if students are not attending regularly school. So we're happy to report that our attendance rate went up by a similar percent from what you see across the state. Elementary districts, you can see, increased from 2 years ago to last year by 0.2%, and so did we. Right, and our attendance rate for last year was 96.17%, which is well above the statewide average for elementary school districts of 93.96%. And our schools do a wonderful job to make sure that they incentivize kids to come to school, have fun raffles and barbecues, and all the great things that are happening. Right, spirit weeks and things like that, to make sure that kids are always looking forward to coming to school. Right, we want to make sure that kids learn and have fun learning, and also attend school, right, and have positive experiences there. When you think about what that percentage translates in a school year, in the Monte City School District, the attendance rate translates to about 7 absences per year for a student. The district average for elementary age students is about 11, right? So we continue to hopefully decrease that. I know our goal in our LCAP is looking for 5 or less absences in the year. Something that is new this year is our ability to recover attendance with after-school programming, summer programming, spring break programming, and things like that. So I think when you see this information presented next year for the 25-26 year, you're going to see a boost in attendance rates across the state of California, because schools can now recapture attendance days for students that attend after-school programming, summer school programming, spring break programming, any enrichment programming where there's a certificated staff member present there, right? So I'm sure that 2% increase that we're above the average will continue. Hopefully we can boost it up to 100%, and everyone else will be at 98%. So great things continue to happen in Monte City School District as a result of the strong attendance within the community.
And our next slide here is a celebratory slide that recognizes 5 of our schools and the school district for receiving the 2025 honor roll list. So ERP is Educational Results Partnerships, and they are a national organization that highlights schools that are closing achievement gaps and making high gains. And so El Monte City School District, as a district, was recognized just in the last few weeks, as well as the 5 schools there: Clemenson, Durfee, Gidley, Legore, and Rio Vista. So congratulations to our schools, El Monte City School District, for this accolade. Moving on to priority area number 2, deliver diverse experiences and opportunities that prepare students for future success.
So our planning for outdoor science school is underway. Our 6th graders are preparing to go to outdoor science school. 6 of our sites will be attending in November, and then another 6 in January. And then we have 2 schools that will go in February and March. So our students are excited as we prepare. Hopefully they have some really nice weather and enjoy the time to use the outside as their classroom. And our current enrichment programs that are being offered at our sites include our Mariachi Academy at our 6 TK through 8 sites. We have fall sports taking place. We brought golf back, and students are really enjoying that. Flag football, soccer, and cheer. Hopefully, you were able to see our cheer students during our Children's Day parade. They led the way. Our Satay Culinary Academy for the fall is taking place at Columbia, Cherry Lee, Gidley, our Opportunity Program, and Frank Wright, and our Youth Cinema Project at Potrero and Wright. Musical theater has kicked off at 4 of our sites, Columbia, Cortada, Durfee, and Scherpzer, but all of our sites will be participating again this year. And this past Saturday, our Vietnamese Culture Club, which started last year and was a big hit and success, started again. And so this serves our TK through 8 students, and we had over 100 families that were very interested and excited about this program who signed up for it. Teachers from Westminster Dual Immersion Schools are providing the programming for this, and it'll take place over 14 Saturdays this year.
And something new that we introduced this year was bringing the barbecue experience to every school, regardless of whether the request is there, right? So in the spirit of having equity across all of our schools, we changed the program up this year. So every school will get at least 3 barbecues, right, throughout the year. So far we've hit Scherpzer, Columbia, Cortada, Frank Wright, and Clemenson schools. And it's been a positive experience so far. Rain or shine, the ladies, our nutrition services staff is out there barbecuing, and we're nurturing young minds. Academic excellence for all on those days. I mean, the kids may not be, they may smell the burgers, right? So they may get a little distracted when they're in the classroom, but I'm hearing the participation rates are very high, right? Those days, right? When our nutrition services staff is out there, right? So this lines nicely with nurturing young minds and making sure that kids have positive experiences regardless of what's on the menu that day. And the students sometimes know it's coming, sometimes they don't, right? And we structure them on days, so it's a surprise that's, I think, a pleasant surprise for the kids when they come onto campus and our staff is out there barbecuing. The kids can smell the food, and before you know it, they're walking through the lunch line. And it's so far we've gotten some positive feedback so far, and the rest of the schools, hopefully in the next few weeks, I believe the way the schedule maps out, they should get their first barbecue, and then we bring them back every few months. So they get one in the winter and one in the fall, right? So great adjustment and tweak to the feeding experience, and we'll gather feedback from the students and the staff, and hopefully if it goes well, we'll continue going forward into future years.
Priority area number 3, preparing students to thrive in an interconnected world.
So we're really excited to have started utilizing Pathful. Pathful is a program that connects students with learning about different careers and perhaps aligning their skill sets with potential careers that they might want to look into for themselves. And so our students in grades 3 through 8 actually are currently taking a survey, Pathful Junior in 3 through 5, and a Pathful Lifestyle and Interest Profile survey for our 6th through 8th grade students. And so these surveys are used to help elementary to junior high students explore their interests, their strengths, and potential career pathways, because it's important for them to start thinking about this now. These results will help to guide future programming for us, both for teachers to know so that they can integrate that into the classroom, but also for us to know as we develop exploratory classes for our students in 7th and 8th grade, and then in our after-school programming as well. So far, the big hit that students are really exploring are the arts, audiovisual, and communications careers. And then our K through 2 students will also take this survey. That'll happen during our first 5 days of instruction in January when they return from winter break.
And last week, all of our schools participated in the Great Shakeout Earthquake Drill. We joined more than 20 million folks across the country that participated in the drill, and it was a good opportunity to test our emergency response plans, and the schools did a great job executing the drill. They will debrief after the fact, see what went well, what areas need to be improved upon. And it was a wonderful drill that helps to teach some life skills to students in the event that an earthquake comes, right? Knock on wood, hopefully it doesn't come anytime soon. And it's a great experience to see the teachers as well. When they take the kids out, right, the learning doesn't stop, right? Think of it as the classroom just gets transported to outdoor learning, right? While the search and rescue team is doing their thing and incident command gets set up, right? The kids are still learning out there and reading books and doing all that, right? So the learning never stops in Monte.
And this past Saturday, our Child Development Department hosted a STEAM male role model and family engagement event. So we had over 50 adults in attendance and students and their families engaged in STEAM activities. This is a way to engage our families, but also to provide information for potential families and register some families into our Head Start programming. While it's a family engagement event, we also really are promoting male role models to be part of their child's education. And mark your calendars, on November 19th, we will host our Big Sing for our elementary choirs. I see Mr. Ching over there. Thank you for being here. And so our students from our school choirs and honor choirs will showcase their beautiful voices for us with performances of songs they've been learning since the beginning of the school year. That'll take place at Durfee School at 6 p.m.
And our fourth priority area, aligning leadership, staffing, and resources to student-centered priorities.
So during the month of October, all districts across the state are required to take a snapshot of students that are enrolled as of the first Wednesday of October. It's called Census Day, right? So this year fell on October 1st. Although we did experience a decline, as we've shared in previous updates to the board and the community, I just want to give some background information as to why the state requires that information. So the way that the funding model works in the state of California, it's very equity focused, equity driven, providing resources to where the most need is. And they define that need as unduplicated pupils, right? Children from households that are designated as low income, or students that are classified as English learners, students that are either foster youth or homeless. And so that drives a significant amount of funding in public schools across California. In El Monte School District, we generate $30 million of additional funding in our LCFF funding formula via the Supplemental Concentration Grant formula, and that's funding that is generated by students designated as falling into one of those categories. And so you can see what our percentage is there. From last year, we're still certifying the current year. You can see that every school, for the most part, is in the 80%, some a little bit higher, some a little bit lower, right? And what does that mean for our funding? So it could generate another $5,000 to $7,000 a year worth of additional funding per student if they are designated in one of those categories. And just to put it in context, those are the updated annual income limits based on the household size for the current school year. So you can see there, a household size of 4 that makes less than $59,000 would be designated as low income. So we're sharing that information just so we have an updated look at what the demographics are in the communities that we serve.
Well, good evening. We just want to provide the board with an update in regards to staffing. And so as I've shared since our August board meeting, we were 100% staffed in regards to our certificated positions. We're proud of that because I know that there's still a few districts out there that are struggling to fill some vacancies. And so that's one thing that's great about our district is our ability to staff 100% within our certificated areas. From the start of the year, we've onboarded 23 new certificated substitute teachers. You'll see a few of those on tonight's monthly routine. And we'll continue to onboard as we go out through the year. We know that our subs usually work in multiple districts, right? So while we have a healthy pool on paper, sometimes they're committed to other districts. So we like to have a good pool of people just to ensure that we can cover any of our trainings and our absences or leaves and so on. In our classified staffing, we're looking at a targeted recruitment. I believe in August and September, I shared that we were probably at about 15 positions that we were looking to fill. We're down to 5. And those 5 are probably some of our more critical, hard to fill. And so we're going to be looking at some intensive recruitment strategies and utilizing some other resources out there. But we're also addressing the domino effect where it's wonderful that we have promotions with our internal employees, but then of course that creates a vacancy then that we have to fill as well. So, but I'm pleased that we're down to about 5 positions left that we're still trying to fill, and some of that is that domino effect, and about two, maybe 3 of them are those hard to fill where we're looking to see what other resources out there that are available to help fill them. And then finally, just building that support pipeline, just looking at how we can bring on more administrative and instructional support substitutes to help ensure that we have vacancies. But also, how do we utilize our current employees as well to support and also to develop that internal talent as we give them tools to help them potentially promote when future vacancies come up.
Under the thread of alignment, in the last 2 weeks, we have had some celebratory receptions with our labor partners, 2 out of the 3, so we're still coordinating the 3rd one. But we had the opportunity to meet with EMETA and CSEA, and this is an opportunity for site reps, site administrators to come together and have just begin the conversation for the things that we want to do and work collaboratively towards this year. Another save the date. The grand opening of our early Head Start learning space is right around the corner. That's on October the 28th at 3:30. Please join us in celebrating one of many projects where we are using our bond dollars and making sure that our facilities stay up to date. The facilities at Cortada look fantastic, and really looking forward to opening up those spaces to our youngest learners. I think you will all be pleased, and I hope the community can join us. This concludes our presentation for this evening.
Thank you very much to the cabinet for the great updates, as always. And now it's time for board reports. Mrs. Cobian?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Mr. Peralta?
I had the pleasure of participating in the Children's Parade in 2 different capacities. I walked with the Columbia School students for about halfway, and then I walked the second half with the El Monte Phillies softball organization as well. It was a great turnout. I think there were a lot of people out there, and the route was changed, and I think it really just gave it a fresher approach, and it was a fantastic experience.
Wonderful, thank you. Mrs. Mendez-Garcia?
None at this time.
And Mr. Segrist?
I have a question about activities on our campuses. Do our children have swings, teeter-totters, and things like that, or we don't have them anymore?
There's different facilities, different playgrounds at different school sites. Happy to provide the board with an update.
The reason I mentioned, I remember Mrs. Nicolai taught her kindergartners how to count using the swings. They'd have to count on Sundays before they get off. So none of our schools have swings?
We do have a few school sites with swings, yes.
I'm glad.
Okay, well, we'll move on to items of interest, and this is the moment that our students have been waiting for. We have a school presentation from New Lexington School. Our student presenters are Iker Vargas, Santiago Pedraza, and Cecilia Deep. Please come forward.
Press the wrong button. We're okay. There you go. Just be looking here because it'll be on the screen.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Helen Wilper, as the proud principal of New Lexington School. On behalf of the students, staff, and families of the New Lexington community, I want to thank you for having us here this evening. You already had a chance to hear a little bit about Cecilia. I do want to take a moment to introduce Iker Vargas Mejia. He's a 5th grader at New Lexington. Iker is a student rep on our Community Schools Committee, as well as a junior educator who does service learning by giving up some of his recess time to help some of our younger students. Santiago Pedraza is one of our fourth graders, and he has been a role model and a support to some of his fellow classmates. He demonstrates lots of empathies for others and tries to help others when they're having a bad day. He enjoys all of our after-school programs, and he's actively represents our school in programs such as Kids Play with flag football. All three of them have been a huge, big asset to our musical theater program at New Lexington as well. So I'm going to turn it over to them to share a few great things happening at our school.
Hello, my name is Iker, and I want to share the importance of attendance. So,
Can you read your notes?
I'm just a little nervous.
Yeah, it's okay. Okay.
Our district goal is 98%, and last year we had 97.84%. Our teachers and our staff share us and teach us the importance of being in school on time every day. And they're really nice and try to get to know us and know our interests. In September, we did the attendance campaign with our counselor, Ms. Contreras, and we celebrate sharing and finding our attendance goals with our classroom and friends, especially with our outreach consultant, Mr. Hansen. We are going to have an attendance barbecue later this month, as well as our Dolphin Dollar store, where we can purchase items with the money we're able to get by being here on time.
Hi, my name is Santiago. We just finished our PTA jogathon a few weeks ago. It was fun. It was with our parents cheering us on. We helped raise almost $12,000. This helps PTA put on fun events like the glow stick dance party and the upcoming Dia de los Muertos carnival. In the past, they brought a mad science assembly and a BMX bike show for all of us to enjoy. It was a lot of fun.
Hi, I'm Cecilia. There are lots of leaderships opportunities like the Student Lighthouse for students in 2nd through 6th grade. We also have junior coaches and junior educators, so there are lots of places for us to show our leadership. We even have students lead our Leader of the Month assemblies. All of these opportunities help us build our confidence and help us become thriving leaders.
Here in New Lexington, we have visual and performing art opportunities. We have band, choir, musical theater, and conga for 5th grade. And computer science coding for 3rd to 6th graders. I gotta do conga every Wednesday.
So before Santiago goes to the next section, I want to just share with everyone here that being up here, even for a principal like me, is very nerve-wracking. Dr. Garcia knows that I do not really like to speak in front of a lot of people. So we really appreciate, and Santiago, I want you just to speak. You don't have to read everything from there, but just speak to what we talked about and what you are sharing with us about our school, okay?
What makes our school unique is that everyone has a different background. We speak different languages. We have different cultures. But we share them and learn from one another. Especially through art and learning. We just learned about the Lunar Festival and Hispanic Heritage Month.
Finally, one more special thing about our school is that we have the Mandarin Dual Language Immersion program at our school. I get to learn all subjects in both Mandarin and English. It's not easy, but I know that it makes me smarter and ready for my future. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, students from New Lexington School. We really appreciate you being here and leading us. And it really is a big deal to speak in a microphone in front of an audience. And every time we do it, it makes it easier for the next time we do it. So thank you for being here. We appreciate you. Okay, and then next, under items of interest, we have a presentation on assessment and performance. Dr. Rudy Torres.
President Rivas, Governing Board, and community members, it is my pleasure to have our Director of Instruction and Assessment, Dr. Rudy Torres, to present on our latest student performance and assessment data.
Good evening, Board of Education, Cabinet. Thank you for having me tonight. What I would like to do is share an update on our assessment and performance, but specifically as it relates to our strategic plan. So what I'd like to do is briefly revisit priority area 1 of our strategic plan and frame tonight's discussion around these two areas. In many respects, the data that's being shared tonight specifically speaks to these two areas, but I think it's very important that we frame our discussion around the notion that we want to ensure that every student meets or exceeds grade level standards in ELA, math, science, and social studies, and increase language proficiency and reclassification rates for long-term English learners. So specifically around academic achievement and specifically around our English language learners. The other piece I want to frame our discussion around this evening is the idea of actionable data. And the idea that we're going to be discussing this evening, or sharing with you this evening for that matter, is the idea that we're looking at large-scale satellite data. We're going to bring it down to district-level data. Probably the most important component of tonight's presentation is the classroom-level data that's going to allow us to take action specifically around learning standards and essential standards. And I wanted to just revisit the notion of essential standards, the idea that our essential standards, which was a collective effort, bringing our colleagues in from our classrooms, our classroom teachers, coming to consensus around essential standards, really brings us to the idea of a guaranteed and viable curriculum. So what does that entail? What does that mean? What we are saying is, and we know in education that at every grade level in any subject, there are multiple standards that are used to establish the criteria for that particular subject for that particular grade. What we have done is we have chosen essential standards that represent El Monte City's guaranteed and viable curriculum. What that guarantee means is that we are going to ensure that students in El Monte City know these standards at a proficient level to guarantee as students matriculate into other grades or the grades that are higher, to matriculate to the next grade for that matter, a degree of success. So that's the idea of, and that's the reason why we chose the essential standards, because those essential standards establish our guaranteed and viable curriculum. So let's take a look at the data. So specifically, this is the overall 2-year ELA standard or ELA performance levels for 2 years, looking at the top bands, which are meeting or exceeding grade level standards. You'll notice that for 2 years, things are relatively stable, suggesting a degree of predictability with respect to our classrooms. If we take a deeper look and we want to look at grade levels, we will see in ELA, in grades 4, 5, and 6, specifically around 5th and 6th grade, we're seeing an increase in student performance in those particular areas. When we start looking at standardized tests, what we want to do, and I'll speak to this in a little while, is how we're able to go deeper in order to create action, to create change, and disrupt the continuity that we're seeing with student performance in this area. If we take a look at the math scores over 2 years, you'll notice that they are identical. Very, very stable in terms of student performance. One way to look at this is to consider that what we are doing is reached a maximum appreciable benefit. That is to say that the classroom, that the instructional strategies, the practices have reached a benefit, a total benefit, which is giving us these performance levels. If we break it down a little bit further, we'll notice again that we have performance levels that are increasing in the latter part of the elementary segment. So specifically in 5th and 6th grade. And as you might recall, early on, we had a number of schools, 3 in particular, that did really well compared to their previous year, which speaks to the increase in 5th and 6th grade in the math SBAC area. This is the science test, right? So the 2-year comparison in science. This is clearly an area of focus for us, both in terms of curriculum and teacher support in the area of science. Now, what I would like to do is share with you, as we get into LPAC, or the English Language Proficiency Test, I wanted to frame this particular test and student achievement around the idea of equity. When we look at the reason why you take this test is that Title III affords all students the opportunity, or the necessity for that matter, to become English proficient in order to access standards, high levels of teaching and learning in the classroom. Quite frankly, the Title III is affording students access and equity. And so the measure of that is the LPAC test. And so I wanted to share with you the results from the LPAC test. And so when we look at LPAC, the top number on the left is 2018. That refers to 2018 English language learners, or students whose language is other than English in the district. English-only students represent 4,856 students. So you can see that we are approximately 29% of our students are English learners in our district. This is concentrated in the elementary segment. If you can walk into almost any classroom in our elementary segment, in particular in K3, K4, just because it takes 4 to 6 years for students to reclassify, you'll notice that the majority of our students, or more than, in some cases, half of our students, are English learners. When we look at the reclassification rate, total K8, You see, out of 2018 students, we reclassified last year 243 students for 12%. Long-term English learners, and these are students who we are focused as part of our priority area, represent 236 students, predominantly in grades 6, 7, 8. They rechange the criteria, so it's in grades 7 and 8, represent about 11% of our students in our district. When we break it down and we look at the different levels on the LPAC, you can see that we can, off to the side here on the left, you can see the number 4, 17%, represents well-developed or students who are scoring the highest. So one way to look at this is that a 4 represents students who have command of the language, command of English, are able to engage in higher levels of academic discourse in the classroom. As we move over, you can see level 3, about 37%, level 2, about 27%, and level 1, about 19%. But it's important to note that when students are in level 1 and level 2, students are, how do I say, they're coming into the language, right? These are students who are coming into the public school system speaking another language other than English. And so moving towards language proficiency, we would expect students to progress across the continuum. These are the different domains. As it was mentioned earlier, oracy precedes literacy. And so when we focus on language proficiency for our English language learners, our emergent bilingual students, you can see the distribution of scores across. Now, interestingly, when we break up the scores this way, the state of California only provides us with 3 different levels, 1, 2, and 3. Where 3 is the highest, 2 is approaching, and 1 is minimal. And so you can see for listening, students are about 59, 26%, speaking 38, 42%, reading is 49, 10%, and then writing 62 and 15%. But you can see where our focus needs to be reading and writing, which is part of our professional development on October 17th. And so to that point, part of the strategic plan is taking very careful note of the data, right? Looking at the data, looking at the needs, identifying and aligning resources specifically to what the data is steering us in that particular direction. So on October 17th, as it was shared earlier with the board reports, that we spent the day working with teachers at different levels of integrated ELD, specifically the notion that oracy precedes literacy, the idea that speaking and listening is tethered with writing. And so it was a very, very, very productive day, very engaging day. I have to say it was really, really exciting. And to Dr. Garcia's point, all internal. So our TOSAs did an incredible job. So on our iReady is our next level of data. So this is our district level data. This is speaking to a diagnostic that is given 3 times a year. The data is going to show the D1 reporting over 3 years so that it's apples to apples. And so with respect to ELA, you can see on the left, you have 3 years of data, relatively stable in terms of student performance, given it the same year at the same time. So this is D1 reporting or fall reporting over 3 years. On the right, you can see that we have math, 3-year reporting, again, relatively stable. 3-year reporting, same time, fall, beginning of the year. So the question is, how do we disrupt? What exactly do we need to do to disrupt, or for that matter, create the greatest impact to elevate learning? And so this is where we look at the strategic plan, specifically at the bottom of priority area 1. We talk about different strategies, 2 that I'll speak to this evening, one of which is common formative assessments, specifically that work in a PLC. Now, as we talk about the implementation of the strategic plan and the implementation common formative assessments, I do want to pause for just a minute and speak to this particular project. When we talk about the strategic plan, what we're talking about is implementing an architecture and a blueprint, right? Specifically, the architecture of what this looks like across 14 schools in, and I would argue, more than 400 classrooms. So what does this look like in terms of rolling something like this out? I want to say that we are all doing the job of approximation. That is to say that we are working collaboratively to understand each other in terms of how this can roll out to the betterment of students. So I say that because with any project of this size, it requires feedback in real time from our teachers. So I do want to share with you that as we talk about common formative assessments this evening, we have had the good fortune to be walking classrooms, checking in with our educators, checking in with our students, and receiving feedback. And as we're getting feedback, we're getting ready to make adjustments for quarter two. As Dr. Pinedo demonstrated earlier, or shared earlier for that matter, that today is the beginning of quarter two. And so with quarter two, we're getting ready to pivot, put into action a lot of the feedback that we've received from our educators in order to make the practice of common formative assessments more effective to elevate that student learning. And as the data showed, to disrupt and impact student learning. And so the assessment platform that we are using for common formative assessments is Pear Assessment. And so Pear Assessment, like other assessment platforms, like similar to iReady, for example, is an incredibly powerful tool. So we met during the summer, in some cases during the spring, to choose common formative assessments and to write tests. And we put these tests into Pear for our students and our teachers to use. You'll notice right here, this is a snapshot of that dashboard. So what you can see at the top is the idea that a teacher can look at to see how their students did. Question 1, question 2, question 3. They can specifically look at the standard that question addressed, how the students did. So you can see that we anonymatized our students with some nice names like Pink and Violet Book and those different names. But ideally, those would be students, and you would be able to look at the performance of those students, to be able to support those students, to be able to make determinations for actionable next steps. So let's take a look at what this data actually looks like. So if we look at the most current reporting, so this is common formative assessments up until the last segment for math, grades 3 and 4. So you might be asking, is this common formative assessment 1, number 2, or number 3? Pear tracks the standard. So this is a totality of how students are doing with respect to the standards up to this point. So the green is meeting or exceeding. I believe that's like a yellow or orange. Yeah, that's like a yellow. So that is approaching. And then red is not approaching. This is not meant to be a student deficit view, but rather it's an instructional view letting us know where we need to focus in terms of instruction. So when we go back to those earlier slides and we look at the stability of those test scores, what we're actually doing with the CFAs is we're in a position now to disrupt and impact learning in very, very, very specific ways. Here's an example of ELA grades 3, a different presentation or a different representation. But again, we're looking at very, very specific standards. And as the course of the quarter goes on, these standards were measured throughout the first quarter. And you can see where students are performing, where students could be underperforming. You know, I stand corrected. It's not necessarily a student piece, it's an instructional piece. And so this is going to allow us to adjust instruction to meet the needs of where students are at. This is grade 4. And so in summary, what I would like to share is tonight's presentation captured state level data. It's really a starting point, right? When we think of strategic plan, the state data allows us to take action, align resources to create to align resources to support teachers, to create professional developments in order to support higher levels of learning. District level data gives us a sense of how our students are doing year to year, but most importantly is the CFA data. The idea of taking CFA data, adjusting instruction in very real time. Tonight was the first time that we're able to take a look and see how students are doing in fall quarter one. In previous presentations, we've only had diagnostic data 3 times a year that gives us a wide berth, but we don't have the ability to take real-time action as we were able to demonstrate this evening. And so with that, any questions? Thank you. That concludes my presentation, Bud.
Thank you. Any questions?
I have a question. I'm wondering if you could speak to iReady and then the CFAs and how the kind of information that they're giving and how those interact together, because I know they kind of serve different purposes.
That's a great question. Thank you for that question. iReady as a diagnostic is measuring all standards and is an adaptive test. So I myself as a student, if I were to be taking that test and I begin with certain questions, maybe I don't get the questions right or I continue to get them incorrect, is going to place me and ask me different questions that may or may not be on grade level. And it's going to place me on a learning path, but it's also going to be able to inform our administrators and our teachers an idea of where they're at, and it's not necessarily at grade level. CFAs are all written at grade level to the rigor of the California State Assessments. And so being that they're all at grade level, the data that you saw just a little while ago is informing, let's say, for example, if we reference the 3rd grade slide, it is telling us exactly where students landed in quarter one in 3rd grade with grade level standards, which allows us as educators to be able to take action on exactly what needs to be addressed in that short window.
Great. Thank you very much.
I have a question.
Yes.
So say for quarter one, what was that timeline looking like? So when students took iReady versus when they took the CFAs?
So I don't have those exact dates, but I can say that iReady occurred the week after our first 5. So I want to say it's the week of August 28th. I know I'm on the record, so I'm going to say I'm pretty sure it's August 28th. And so it's a 5-day window in order to capture the current state of student learning as it's captured by iReady. Our CFAs we began the calendaring of CFAs to the week after, September 17th, we started the cadence of CFAs.
Okay. And then what was the cycle? They do the CFAs, like what's that cycle, that timeline cycle? Is it every few weeks?
In an ideal, it is every 2 weeks or a 10-day instructional cycle.
Per subject area.
Yeah, per subject area. Okay. So in an ideal situation, we would be instructing for 9 days and assess on the 10th day in order to inform instruction and make adjustments in the PLC the following week so that instruction reflects those 10 days.
So math would be 1 week and ELA would be the following week. So they're not on the same week.
Okay. And then the students are, because you said with iReady, I know that the testing window is a 5-day window. And I know some students can finish, like what's the typical time students spend on iReady testing, say 2 hours, that they're able to complete it. And then what's the amount of time that you guys found for this first cycle for the CFAs? I know there's they have that whole window, but how long does a test take pretty much?
So the guidance from iReady is 90 minutes.
Okay.
Now I do want to recognize that there are some students that take longer, for a lot of different reasons. Students can take longer, but the guidance from iReady asserts that it's a 90-minute.
Take 90.
Yeah, and that's in grades all the way up to 8th grade.
Is that per subject or total?
Per subject.
Per subject. Okay.
And then for CFAs, it's something new, right? So kids are getting used to the platform, teachers getting used to the platform. Some students can take a very short, succinct amount of time in order to test on the 10 questions. Other students, much like our iReady students who are really invested in ensuring that everything is correct, they even have scratch paper and they're demonstrating an answer, might take a little bit longer, but this is on an adjustment period for us. And so I wouldn't say it takes as long as iReady, but we're getting used to using the platform.
The wonderful thing about PAIR is it actually tells you, students take a certain amount of minutes per question, so we can monitor and see which questions took longer as well. And one thing I want to point out with our iReady data at the beginning of the year, it's our baseline data to start off with. So I just wanted to point that out as well.
Thank you, Dr. Pinedo.
I have a question. Do our students memorize math facts anymore? Addition and subtraction, times tables? Is that part of the curriculum to memorize?
I'm going to say that I would like to think with the new mathematical framework and the work that Almani City has done is that there's a greater emphasis on conceptual thinking and understanding and having a greater sense of number sense. And so that's not something that is explicitly taught to memorize, but that's not to say that students wouldn't memorize.
The reason I'm asking is that many high school students I'm aware of do not know their math facts because they didn't learn them early on. So maybe we should push for that, because it used to be expected every child would have to learn the times tables, addition and subtraction, the math facts to build on, and not try to rely on a calculator. Thank you.
Any other questions? Well, thank you very much. Wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
It's now time for communications, and we have 4 who would like to participate in public comment. And I'll call you forward one by one. And just a reminder to those who are speaking this evening, although the board doesn't respond to you at this time, we do listen carefully and take all of your words into consideration. First up, we have Mary Esther Espinosa.
Good evening, everyone. As you know, Almani City School District has received $19 million in community schools funding. Before money can be allocated, district and school sites must conduct what is known as a comprehensive school needs and assets assessment to understand where the funding can and should be invested. Funding for community schools should be spent based on the results of these needs and assessments with the mechanism for sharing governance. In other words, funding must be allocated with a governing structure, the committee, where there is equal voice and representation of pupils, families, educators, and community-based organizations. It is our position, EMETA's position, that EMCSD has not conducted the proper comprehensive school and needs assessments at the district or site level as it is required by Ed Code. We have learned of specific examples where it is clear that the district is using community schools money to fund pre-existing district priorities, such as, but not limited to, hiring education consultants. Our association has requested to negotiate the parameters for community schools, but we've only met once with no follow-up. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to invite Margarita Henderson.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to be talking about our workload, and then I'll share some experience of my own as well. On average, more than 80% of EMET members report working between 6 to 15 hours each week outside the instructional day. This represents an additional 4 to 8.5 hours of work that takes place beyond the typical 40-hour work week. Every year, our members adapt to the ever-growing list of initiatives, mandated assessments, trainings, programs, platforms, and assignment changes with little guidance or support. Additionally, with teachers being subbed out for frequent trainings, some lasting 5 consecutive days. The time it takes to plan substitute lesson plans can easily double the typical workload for a given week. Last year, some members were subbed out for a total of 25 days, representing more than 10% of the school year. This year, the added pressure of having to adhere to rigid pacing plans with frequent district mandate assessments has further amplified the workload and stress on EMETM members. Teachers' working conditions are being affected, which lead to a negative impact on student learning. I myself, last week, the week of October 13, we had the Pathful survey to administer. We had the CFA math number 3. We had the CGI story word problems, so slide 3 we have to assess. We had the Great Shakeout on Thursday, and on Friday, we had the PD Friday. So that only gave us 2 days to do the CFA assessment. And then I was out, so that's another day that cut it out from my week. So that affected my working conditions, and it affected the way that I taught my students and administer the CFA. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Sabrina Cruz.
Hello and good evening, everyone. I'm going to be speaking on Workplace Violence Prevention Plan. As of July of 2024, El Monte City School District is legally required to have a workplace violence prevention plan to address the growing instances of workplace violence across all workplaces in the state of California, which includes harassment, verbal abuse, direct and indirect threats from any person, including students. Once in place, El Monte City School District has a legal obligation to provide annual trainings to all of its employees on the Workplace Violence and Prevention Plan. Such trainings would include showing how any staff member can anonymously report any incident of violence that occurs. Any incident log must be reviewed by the employer, and the employer must take steps to address the incidents of violence that are reported. Any employee can request to view the incident log. EMETA is looking forward to participating on the District Safety Committee with our first meeting scheduled for November 18th. Together with CSEA and the district, we are looking forward to creating Workplace Violence Prevention Plan. Thank you.
Thank you. And last, we have Oscar Pinto.
Good evening, Board and Cabinet. I just wanted to share some of the minutes from our first community school meeting on October 3rd at Potrero School. So I'd like to share that our students and parents and staff were well attended in our committee, and on a positive note, I love the engagement from parents and students. There were 2 proposals in which the students made their voices really loud and clear. The first one that was one of my own proposals that they voted down, which was a proposal to conduct the meetings during the morning, as I find the afternoons a little hard for myself personally, and other teachers that expressed the same concerns. But our students voiced that they wanted their instructional minutes protected. On the same topic of instructional minutes, they voted down a proposal for solution tree sub-out. So there was a proposal to sub out teachers for 8 days. And again, our students were not okay with that. The student committee members composed of right now 6th, 7th, and 8th graders were adamant that they want their teachers in the classroom. I'm sad to report, though, that today our teachers got an email from the principal saying that they will be subbed out for 4 days that we know of right now. So I think this is like an opportunity that speaks to the transformational work that is occurring in our community schools committee. And even though we're still in early stages and still need to conduct our comprehensive needs assessment, I think it's the fact that our parents and students see the importance of the instructional time, and especially now after this report from Mr. Torres in regards to where our scores are at and the importance of staying on top of this CFA schedule. How are we going to do that when we're subbing out, our teachers for 8 days? So I don't know. It's concerning to me that also we're trying to pass proposals without a proper needs assessment. So we're putting the cart in front of the horse. And before I conclude here, I want to invite our board members to go attend some of our community school committees coming up. So I know Sherpser is having one on October 30th from 10 to 12. There's another one at Lagore, October 23rd, from 12 to 2. And Potrero will have theirs at November 3rd from 3 to 5. So hopefully one of those dates works for you. I would love to see you there, and I would love for you to see part of the process and seeing our students and parents and staff engaged in this, transformational work, which will be, I hope, lead to some positive changes for our district. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, all of you, for coming. We appreciate you coming and sharing all of these ideas with us. Dr. Garcia, do we have any written communications?
No written communication has come forward.
Okay. Then it's time now for the board to go into closed session. We will discuss one item, closed session, item number 1, pursuant to Government Code 54957.6, conference with labor negotiators, EMTA, CSEA 10, and CSEA 356. We will resume the open meeting shortly. Okay, I'd like to resume the open meeting. It's 6:53. We were previously in closed session and no action was taken. It's time for the approval of the minutes. For the consideration of approval of the September 29th, 2025 board retreat meeting minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Motion made by Mrs. Cobian. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Peralta. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And item 2, consideration of approval of the September 15th, 2025 board meeting minutes. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion to approve by Mrs. Cobian. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mrs. Mendez Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. For reports, we have the EMCSD Williams Uniform Complaint Policy 2025 to 2026 Quarter 1 report.
Thank you. Each year, districts are required to submit a quarterly report to Los Angeles County Office of Education regarding the Williams uniform complaint process. Specifically, the Williams uniform complaint process oversees instructional materials, facilities, and teacher credentialing. And so for the first quarter, which was July 1 to September 30th, we had 0 complaints filed. This is just a report item. There's no voting that needs to be done.
Thank you. For the action consent calendar, I'd like to pull item 12 for separate consideration. Are there any other items a board member would like to pull to consider separately? Okay, hearing none. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent item without item 12?
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Mr. Peralta. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mrs. Cobian. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And for item 12, we have consideration of approval of classified CSEA Chapter 10, Chapter 356, and confidential personnel matters.
Thank you. The item that was pulled is normally a routine item that's part of action consent, but tonight, because of one of the individuals that's on there, we wanted to pull it and vote on it separately, but also to highlight it as well. And so tonight on that is our recommendation for Eddie Monjarez to be promoted to, Jerry, what's the title again? Because I don't want to look it up. Maintenance Operation Managers. I was trying to pull it up really fast in between, but I figured I'd just ask Jerry and so on. So that's why we wanted it pulled separately for a separate vote.
All right, thank you. Do I hear a motion to approve item 12?
I'll make the motion.
Motion made by Mrs. Cobian. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Peralta. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Congratulations, Mr. Monjares. Would you like to say a few words and introduce your family?
Over here, buddy.
Well, first of all, good evening to everyone. Thank you for all coming. It's been a long journey. I want to thank all the board members. I've known you guys for a while, especially opening every Saturday at Clemenson. I got to know you very well. Dr. Garcia, thank you for all the guidance you gave me. Edna, Steve, Teresa, Jose, thank you for the opportunity. I will never let you guys down. Jerry, thank you. You've been a good leader, and like I said, you're a good coach. I'm that quarterback, and each one of you guys, thank you guys for support. I think this is not something that I accomplished by myself. I think we did it together, and we'll still keep doing it. Example, I did that walk with the Williams inspection. I've been here so long, and this is the first year we get 100%. Now I look back to those schools, and this is the effort, the hard work we did together. I see these ladies from the kitchen here, and it gets me, it makes me happy that they're here because they work on the summer with me, and so they get to know me. Roy got to know me very well. The person that I am, the worker, Maria Morgan got to know me. So each person that are here play a big part in my heart, and I'm here for the kids. You know, it's just me, my family, my parents, my mom, and a big part in my career, my wife. Like they say, a successful man, you have to have a wife that supports you, and she's been the support. I've been through a lot here at this district, and she's never let me down, and that's my success there. As well with my kids. Amen, and thank you guys. Just keep going and growing, and I always learn, like I said it to Jerry, I love making mistakes. Why? Because that makes me greater. And my parents are immigrants, and so I am. I wasn't born here, and that's what I tell my kids. You know, I was brought to this country, and you guys are born here, so I want you guys to be better than me, and this is why I tell my custodians, like, I want you guys to be better than me. So if I'm doing good, I want you better than me. And that's the lesson that Jerry always teaches me. Like, he's not afraid for me to learn his job, and I'm not afraid to teach him what I know. So that's my goal here, and to teach everyone what I know, so that way when we're ready to go, there's people ready to take our positions. And thank you for guys being good leaders. You guys are good leaders. Our board members are a good example for our kids. I appreciate the hard work you guys do. Thank you.
Congratulations, Eddie. Looking forward to your continued successful career with the district.
Congratulations, and thank you for bringing your family and all your fans. We'll move on to action items. We have item 1, consideration of approval to adopt resolution 252611, celebration of Native American Heritage Month, November 2025.
Let's see if I can talk after that. For your consideration this evening is a resolution for Native American Heritage Month, which recognizes the beautiful culture, contributions, and history of our Native American communities. This resolution aims to promote awareness of Native American history and traditions while emphasizing the importance of respecting and preserving their culture.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion to approve item 1?
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Mr. Peralta. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mrs. Mendez Garcia. Any discussion?
Yes. This inspired me to do some research. about Native Americans. I didn't know that certain words we have came from that particular culture. Raccoon, moose, chocolate, coffee, and the word caucus when you're going to have a meeting. So thank you for the inspiration.
Thank you. Let's see, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item 2, consideration of approval to adopt Resolution 252612, celebration of Veterans Day, November 11th.
Thank you for your consideration is a resolution celebrating Veterans Day on November 11th to honor and express gratitude to the men and women who have served in the and are serving in the armed forces of the United States. This resolution acknowledges the sacrifices, dedication, and bravery of veterans in defending our nation and upholding its values.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion to approve item 2?
I'll make the motion.
Motion made by Mrs. Cobian. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mrs. Mendez Garcia. Any discussion?
Yes. I appreciate this as a veteran. When we came back from Vietnam, we were not received very nicely. Thank you for remembering us.
Thank you, Mr. Segrist. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item 3, consideration of approval of annual and 5-year developer fee report, Resolution 252612.
This is required under government code and annual report, along with the 5-year report, to always ensure that we're never out of compliance with the 5-year report. We bring it every year alongside the annual report. We collect about a little over $3 per square foot on developer fees, any developments in excess of 500 square feet. For commercial industrial, it's about 54 cents per square foot. The high school district collects the fee and they share it with the elementary feeder districts. We have accumulated close to about $5 million in our developer fee account with known use of those funds in the past years, but now with the master plan and more facility improvement projects kicking off in the near future, we'll be implementing the use of the funds going forward. This report is quite important. A few years ago, the city of San Clemente had to return tens of millions of dollars back to developer fees because they're found to be out of compliance. So before you is the annual and 5-year developer fee report as required under government code.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion to approve item 3?
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Mr. Peralta. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mrs. Cobian. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And lastly, for our voting, we have the board policy updates, which is a collection of 18 second readings. Am I correct in saying that? Second readings, okay. So we'll consider them all as a unit unless a board member would like to poll any for separate consideration. Okay, then do I hear a motion to approve these 18 board policy updates?
I'll make the motion.
Motion made by Mrs. Cobian. Is there a second?
I'd like to second it.
Seconded by Mr. Segrist. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Last on our agenda here, we have our discussion session. First up is the board governance calendar.
Thank you, President Rivas, governing board members. I had the opportunity to meet with the board subcommittee that comprised of Mrs. Cobian and Mrs. Mendez Garcia to continue the discussions that we started at the board retreat. One of the things that we began with was to review the governance calendar. I know at the time the board gave us feedback on how to improve the governance calendar for the 25-26 school year. And so before you this evening, it's not something that we're voting on, but before you is the updated governance calendar. And this is an opportunity for you to take a look at it and see if there's any additional feedback that you would like to provide to include in the governance calendar for the 25-26 school year.
Thank you for your work on that to the subcommittee. It looks very good. I was able to review that on the agenda.
Thank you. And some of the changes we made, specifically, we're adding a couple of dates that were missing. I think we highlighted some district events, and then we also consolidated the district and community events into one section. And then, again, just going back and making sure that the calendar reflects the activities and happenings that are happening throughout the school year. At this time, I'll invite Mrs. Cobian or Mrs. Mendez-Garcia if there's anything they want to highlight from the update or the draft.
Nothing specific, only just to say that I feel like we covered a lot, and I think it's going to be very useful going forward, just so we can, kind of regularly check in and make sure that we're on track and what we expect in the next month.
No, yeah, and if I can ask, I know if we can have this governance calendar printed out as part of our binders.
Yes.
So in that way too, we can just have a hard copy to refer to it when we need it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, it looks really great. Thank you so much for doing that. Any other comments from the board? Okay, then we'll move on to board governance goals. Dr. Garcia?
Thank you, President Rivas. Also at the board retreat, the board had an opportunity to complete a self-evaluation. And at that time, there was an indication that we wanted to create some governance goals for the board to work to. And so tonight, before you is a draft of those board goals, and I'd like to present them to you. This is an opportunity for you to give feedback, and then we can bring them back to formally adopt at the next board meeting. The first goal is a reflection of one of the items regarding representation at district and community events. And so the draft goal is for the Board of Education will strengthen its presence at key district and community events to deepen meaningful connections with students, families, and staff, and to celebrate the accomplishments of the school community. And so there is an opportunity to add a metric. I think that was something that we discussed, but I'd like to open that up for discussion here for the board. The second goal is related to the strategic plan. The Board of Education will provide governance and oversight for the implementation of its strategic plan. The board will regularly review progress, engage in strategic discussions, and communicate a clear, unified commitment to advancing the plan across the district and community.
I'll just say, I feel like these reflect what our discussion was a few weeks ago, and so I do like the idea of a metric. I don't know if maybe Mrs. Rivas and Dr. Garcia kind of work on what that would look like in practice with the agenda, or maybe there's check-ins or setting some kind of goals, or if you want additional feedback of are we talking about specific, like for the first one, are we committing to a certain number of events or certain events that we make sure that we're represented at, and kind of what that looks like going forward. But I like that discussion idea.
That's great. We can do that. Any other feedback or ideas?
Yeah, one idea I had, especially for the first one with key district events, I know we use Google Calendar, right, where Edna's so great with populating it with the different events, but maybe if it's sent out as a calendar invite, because then that would be a way for us, because typically we do email Edna back to say, oh, we're going to attend the event, but then that way we would just RSVP to the event. And then that would be able to show, and we'd all have access. I think I mentioned that before, like a way to see, like, oh, okay, Ms. Cobian's already attending this event, and Ms. Rivas, right? So then let me make, maybe I'm going to attend this next event, right? Since there's already 2 board members there. So then that would be a really easy way for all of us to see that, and then also respond to those invites.
And maybe we do like a check-in, maybe every quarter or something. We say, okay, did we, were we, we had so many events that we attended, or we had this, these kind of engagement things, or because I know we share about them when we're doing our board comments, but maybe something to quantify it so that we can understand, because I may not be at the same things that everyone else is. So we kind of understand where we're covering and where we're not.
So like as a whole, right?
Yeah, I don't think we need to single out individuals, but just as a board, making sure that we're, connecting within the community.
Yeah,
That's
good
great,
ideas.
and we can take note of that, because I know that you all do a wonderful job of attending events outside of the district as well, and so we can include that, just I wouldn't say keep tally, but just include our participation and our presence in community-wide events, so that we can also share that as part of our comprehensive reporting.
It can even be almost like a self-evaluation, like how do we feel like we did this,
Yeah.
this semester, this quarter with attending school or community events. And from it, we may say like, oh, you know what, we did really good with district events. Maybe we want to expand with community events.
I like that.
Great. Any other feedback? These are very good ideas. Thank you. Okay. And last under discussion session, our future discussion items. Does any board member have any items that you would like to put on the agenda for in the future? Oh, yeah.
I would like us to start looking into AI, artificial intelligence. I ran across schools in Texas called Alpha Schools. Very interesting. To share with the audience, I had a task the other day to write a poem. I went online, I found the poem AI generator. In 5 seconds, I had a wonderful poem. All of you need to look into that because that's the future that's coming more than ever. Artificial intelligence. Just be careful with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other items?
I think just something I'd like to, and it may be a part of the next presentation, but the next data presentation, I would be really interested to see maybe just a broad view of what the grades look like for students, because I know we evaluate, the quarterly or in progress reports and things like that, but, maybe after that, and seeing, how those metrics are aligning with our CFAs and with our, because I know grades are a really strong indicator of future student success, more than test scores and things like that. And so I would, in some form, kind of like to see where we are with that.
Sorry, I'm just noting it. Any other items?
I'll just mention this publicly. I know we already requested a samples of the CFAs so that we can get eyes when we're hearing about feedback from students and from staff. We're able to have a visual of what that looks like. A sample from lower elementary, maybe a 3rd or 4th grade, and then a middle school.
Thank you. Any other items? Okay. With that, we have concluded our meeting, so we adjourn at 7:14. Thank you again for being here.